Hey everybody, this is Jason Creole's Lawn Care Life. You may have noticed the thumbnail had the laser beams coming out of my eyes, and the idea was laser focused. And new year and new lawn season approaching. And I tell you what, it did refresh me. I took some time off between Thanksgiving and Christmas, and that was fantastic. And in this video, I want to speak to you about 4 things that I'm going to focus on in my business this year. And I'm really excited about that because, like I said, sometimes you get caught up into work and you don't take time to stop and think, and what am I going to do different next year? And I think over time I'm starting to figure out what I value and what I want my business to look like, not only my business but my life, and I'm starting to make some adjustments. Now, today's video is sponsored by Yardbook. They are the software that I use to run my business and have been since 2015. If you're thinking about starting a lawn care business, or maybe you want to consider switching software, I'd actually consider Yardbook. Go to yardbook.com. All right, so let's get started. What are the 4 things? And I tell you what, I'm going to share a story on one of these where I'm having to put my money where my mouth is, okay? So number 1 is trying to make more profitable yards. You say, well, Jason, that's obvious. Everybody wants to make more money. Well, here's the story, and here's what happened. Here's where I'm having to actually live out what I'm saying I'm going to do, because I've been talking about that before. I've been talking about trying to get smaller yards that I think are more profitable, especially doing weed control and fertilization, where the cost of the chemicals adds up on a bigger property. And if you're charging lower rates for bigger property, lower rate per 1,000 square feet, let's say. Let's just give an example. If I'm charging $15 per 1,000 square feet on a small yard, and I'm charging $7 per 1,000 square feet on a big yard, well, the cost of the fertilizer is the same no matter if it's smaller or big, you know, per 1,000 square feet. Obviously, you're going to use more fertilizer on a big yard than a small yard, but I'm saying per a certain area, the fertilizer cost is the fertilizer cost. So the small yards tend to be more profitable if you can get a lot of them. Now, if you got to drive all the way out of the way for a small yard. Anyway, so I've been telling myself, I'm like, this year, I really want to continue to get more small properties, and some of the big properties I have, I'm going to go up on them. I went up on just about all my customers because I needed to maintain the profit margins that I had last year because of the cost of supplies and other things going up. But some of the big properties I went up a little bit more. Well, let me give you an example. All right, this one, and this where I had to kind of live it out, and I want to make a point here. I have a neighborhood entranceway that I've been doing for 5 or 6 years, and it's one of the nicer neighborhoods in our area. I've used it as somewhat of a marketing technique. Whenever I get a quote in that, somebody living in that neighborhood, I'll subtly, but not so subtly, mention that I'm the one that takes care of their beautiful entranceway, because it looks great, and I know people know it looks great, and I don't do the mowing, but I do the chemicals and the fertilizer and all that. Well, that particular entranceway, I haven't changed the price on them in 6 years or 5 or 6 years, however long I've been doing. I've been doing for the same exact price, $100, okay? And it's a fairly large entranceway, and to be honest with you, $100 is fairly low for the size of it. Well, I told it's one of these deals where you got to go through a property management group, and the property management group communicates with the HOA, and then the property management group gets back to me and lets me know. Well, I emailed them a couple months ago, and I say, listen, I haven't raised prices on you guys in years, so I'm going from $100 to $105, 5%. That's actually less than some people do. But one of the things I like about having this commercial property is I can go early in the morning and not be bothered. Well, this particular property, again, I think it was underpriced at $100. It's underpriced at $105. I mean, it's going to be one of my lower margin properties. And while I like going early in the morning, there's some difficulties about it. I've got to move my truck multiple times because of the layout of the entranceway, and it's just not an ideal situation. Well, I tell them also, I've been doing 6 applications. Well, I'm doing 7 for almost everybody. I tell them, hey, I also want to go to 7 applications and not doing 6. So instead of doing 6 applications at $100, I'm going to do 7 for $105, okay? Not a big amount of money for the neighborhood. Well, I didn't hear anything back for a couple months, and I finally emailed my contact again. I said, listen, I haven't heard anything back. Can you follow up with the HOA and let me know? So she replies back. She said, hey, I spoke with HOA, and they want to stick with 6 treatments. And they didn't say anything about the $105, so I guess they were good about that. Well, I got to thinking, I was like, to me, it was just a reason to get out of it. I thought if I do 6 treatments, what am I gonna have to do? I'm gonna have to skip a fertilizer. I'm not gonna skip one of the weed control treatments, get eat up with weeds. So I'm gonna skip one of the fertilizer treatments. Then they may start whining about it not being green enough because I didn't fertilize it, you know, and I don't want to adjust my schedule just for this one property that wants 6 treatments instead of 7. So anyway, I emailed her back and I said, I measured the property and saw how large it was, and I thought I'm really underpriced on this anyway. And they don't want to even go from 6 to 7 treatments, and you know, it's just, to me. So I emailed her and I said, hey, I think maybe it would be best if we end our relationship here and let y'all move forward with somebody else for this coming year. She replied back, the lady for the property management group said that's totally fine. She said we've actually been looking at some bids from landscaping companies and are thinking about getting, you know, one of these all-you-can-eat buffet companies that'll do everything. So it sounded like I might have been losing it anyway. They didn't want to go to 7 treatments, and again, the point being, not a profitable yard, not as profitable as I want, not wanting to come onto my terms as far as how I want to handle things, the program I want to put them on. And it was so, and you think, Jason, you just walked away from $630 this year, you know. Well, $630 of revenue, but if it's not that much profit in it, and I have to adjust my schedule or skip a treatment and deal with that kind of stuff, to me it wasn't worth it, because I walked away from it. Some of the larger properties, as I've raised prices on people, some of the larger ones I needed to go up more, in my opinion, to make it worth my while, and some of them dropped. And I've actually had the mindset shift, okay? And this is what I'm really excited about for this year, because in many ways, many years, if I lose a customer, even if it's not a great customer, I'm just mad that I lost a customer. I've actually found myself happy that I'm losing some of the less profitable yard. I'm like, I lost a yard that was large, underpriced, not terribly underpriced, but you know, just like I'm not making as good of margins on that yard as I like. It's on a hill. I have to move my truck multiple times. It's full of Dallas grass or something like that, which is a pain to deal with, and I lost them. And I'm excited that I lost them because I bumped the price up to make it worth my while. They didn't want to go for that. And I would rather, this is the key point here, I would rather not have that yard than to have it at the price I had it at last year. And I lost it, and I'm totally okay with that. Because here's the other point, as a solo operator, you are limited on how many properties you can take on. So picture it being a piece of pie, and let's say my pie has 300 slices in it. That's some small slices, okay? But if you only have 300 slices, and that's all there is room for, because of your capacity as one human being, and if you have two pies, then 2 people, then you got a little bit more room. And if you're okay with just growing and growing and growing, then there's no real limit to your pie, okay? But if you're solo, or you have a limited number of people and you don't want to go past that, you only have a limited number of yards you can take on, okay? So let's say minus 300, and it could be more than that, but I'm just use 300 as a round number, and I'm at 295, or let's say I'm at 300, well, I'm gonna have to turn down business eventually. And so it's okay to lose a less profitable customer to open up a spot for that great customer who's gonna be calling me in a couple months, and I can put them on my program. You want 7 applications a year? Absolutely, that's what, you know, they're gonna sign up for my program. They're gonna do the billing the way I wanna do it. You mind prepaying for the year with a 5% discount or putting a credit card on file? Sure, we have no problem with that. So you're getting them on your terms, everything the way you want, and that's the one you want, not the one you've been hanging on to for 2 or 3 years that pays late, that's underpriced, it's always a pain, it always complains. You can replace them because, like I said, you're gonna eventually have to turn down a good customer to keep up with a bad customer. And I finally had the mindset shift that it's good and healthy to wean out bad customers and replace them with good ones. And I'm really excited about that. All right, the second point I want to make here, and the first one was long, I'm sorry about that, but the second one is quality of life. You say, what do you mean by that, Jason? Well, okay, I've got 4 kids, and there's a lot of other values in my life other than being the greatest lawn care guy of all time. Now, I want to be a great lawn care guy, and I want my YouTube channel to do great, and I want everything to be great, okay? But I don't think that I will lay on my deathbed one day saying, I wish I'd have just did a few more yards this year, or I wish I'd have made 2 more YouTube videos, or whatever. And again, I'm not minimizing those things. Those are great things, but when I talk about quality of life, I'm talking about not leaving the house at 6 in the morning and coming back at 7 o'clock at night, drained and tired, and just saying, oh, I'm so tired, good night, kids, see you tomorrow, and then get up and do the next thing the next day. I am trying to orchestrate my schedule in this year, and I was telling my wife the other day, I don't do much with alarm clocks because I wake up early. For when I go to bed early, I wake up early. But I thought, you know what? Most time I'm up by 6 anyway, but I thought I might just start setting my alarm clock for 6 o'clock, and I'm not going to somebody's house at 6 o'clock to spray their yard, but if I wake up at 6 and I do some things that can help me be successful in life. So, you know, we take time as a family to read our Bible and pray in the morning. Okay, I know that's not what everybody does, but if I take, say, 20 minutes to stop and do that in the mornings, then I have 20 minutes to exercise, to make it a commitment, not to come home when I'm dead tired and say, I guess I need to go do something. It's not gonna happen then, okay? But if I wake up at 6 and I have some time to read, I have some time to exercise, I eat breakfast, I'm able to spend time with my kids a little bit, I'm able to get prepared for the day with invoices or whatever needs to be done administratively for my business, and then get out there at 8:30, and because I have a tight route that's close to my house, I can make a lot happen by 4 o'clock and come home and be around, or I can come home at lunch or work through lunch and, you know, just carry something with me and eat it in the truck and keep going, so that I'm not coming home at 6:30. Now, listen, there's times you gotta work late and all that, and that's fine. I understand. I'm not anti-work. I'm not anti-working on Saturdays. I do all the above, okay? Get out there early in the morning at 6 o'clock, go do the commercial properties, come home and eat breakfast before, you know, everybody gets going. I mean, whatever needs to be done. I'm not trying to get out of work, but at the same time, I am trying to have a more balanced life that involves being a husband, being a dad, taking care of my body, and then also the spiritual side of things is a value of mine. I want to make sure I have time for that. So I'm calling that point quality of life, okay? Quality of life. And a lot of that has to do too with having yards that are close by. And I'll tell you this, what I've also done, you know, I may have mentioned this before, but you know how people when they get older, they wish they had a one-level house because they don't want to walk up the stairs and all that. And we just worked on our house, and we got a one-level house in case we stay here for a long time. But I've started age-proofing my lawns. Again, so I'm talking about the small yards, but I don't want a really large yard on the side of a mountain. I just don't. I don't want to walk up that mountain to spray that yard. So I'm getting small flat yards, and I love small flat yards, and I think I could be, you know, again, if my health holds up or whatever, I could be 70 years old and do small flat yards, okay? Now, at my age, I don't want to walk up a hill and do a yard on the side of a mountain. I just don't like doing it, and we got some hills in my area, and so I'm trying to be more strategic on which yards I'm targeting. And why would I take on a yard, again, if I only have 300 in the pie, why would I take on 5% of those that I absolutely hate going to every time, and when I get done, I'm sucking wind so bad I can barely breathe? Why would I do that to myself? As I just started, common sense kicked in, and I thought, I'm gonna take on small, flat yards because I love those. Third point I wanna mention is I am actually improving my program. Now, some people take the strategy, and especially in weed control and fertilization, you do it in mowing, but you just go super cheap and you try to just maximize profit. So I could just throw out some cheapo fertilizer, it'd make the grass green at least for a little while, and use the cheapest weed control products I could find and bill people and be really profitable. The problem is you get a lot of turnover that way. People are not happy. I'm in a very competitive area with some really good competitors. And so what I've decided to do this year, I'm actually improving my program. I'm putting more quality, better quality fertilizer on the lawn, more expensive fertilizer than I did last year. And I'm not talking about more expensive just because the price went up, more expensive because it's a different technology, a more slow release fertilizer that I think is going to deliver better results early in the year and hopefully hold the color great throughout the year. I'm also adding in Spectacle Flow, which is one of the premium pre-emergent herbicides I've been using in the fall. I'm adding it also in the springtime to help control a lot of the summer weeds to get better results. Now, is that cheap? No, it's not cheap, and I've adjusted my prices accordingly, but what I've understood is most people would rather pay a few more dollars and have outstanding results than pay a few less dollars and get mediocre results. And I thought, I'm gonna try to deliver outstanding results this year. And I really think ultimately it's better for your business, because I think more neighbors will notice that yard that looks outstanding and will say, I want that guy doing my yard, and they're not worried about if you're $3 more per application than your competitor. They want you doing the yard because it's outstanding yard, okay? So that's kind of my strategy. Again, you can say, well, I don't know if it's worth paying for that chemical, that fertilizer, this chemical, that fertilizer. Well, I think if I get a whole street that says I want that guy doing my yard because he's so outstanding, and that cuts down on my overhead because I've got them so stacked in there, and I'm just nailing all these neighbors, and I got you and you and you and you, and they love the results. And not only that, I'm not spending time walking around spot treating weeds all the time if I'm using outstanding products to hopefully keep most of the weeds out. It's going to cut down on my time, and then hopefully cut down on any callbacks I would get where like, hey Jason, we got weeds, can you come back and spray for free? Well, yeah, I can, but I don't want those calls, so I'm trying to use outstanding products to where I don't have those calls and don't have to make that inconvenient trip to go out there and take care of some weeds for free. And the last thing I'm doing, and I want to talk about the way I'm getting people to pay this year. Again, I mentioned earlier, but I'm doing 5% discount for people that prepay for the year, or I'm getting people to put a credit card on file. Well, and I did that. I had about 20% of my customers prepay for the year. I'm ecstatic about that. If next year that turns into 95%, I will be more ecstatic about that. But 20% roughly have decided that, Jason, I want to pay you for the whole year with a 5% discount. You say, Jason, you just give away 5% of your money. Well, my strategy is to take the money, to invest it, and hopefully over the course of a year, I have more than generated 5% in return. Okay, so this is the other thing I'm really focusing a lot on this year is I'm trying to invest and save for the future, and aggressively do so. So I want to continue to spend, invest in my family, take vacations, work. We spend a lot of money on a house and all kind of things like that, things that need to be done to make the family success, but also thinking for the future and being smart enough to realize that even though I said a while ago I could do a small yard when I'm 70 years old, I don't necessarily want to be doing a small yard when I'm 70 years old. So I want to start aggressively investing and putting money back, and hopefully taking care of myself physically, like I mentioned earlier, and then financially, not just making money so I can go buy another piece of equipment, but trying to save for the future. These things take intentionality. Again, I mentioned before, I was basically off from lawns from Thanksgiving to Christmas, or really to New Year's, and I feel very refreshed heading into the next year, and I'm really excited about that. And I think that's the other thing, we got to take time off, we got to refresh ourselves, or we don't have to, but it certainly has helped my mindset. I feel very much refreshed, very much focused, very happy with the direction of the business, weaning out some customers who don't want to, who are typical late payers and don't want to come on the new payment system. That's fine, but they're just gonna have to find another provider, because I don't want, it's not about the $50 or whatever they owe you. For me, it literally keeps me up at night, and I hate that. I hate that it bothers me so bad, but I get so worked up over people that don't pay their bill on time and don't reply when you text them and email them and text them and call them and email and knock on their door and their front door and their back door and their side door, and they still don't reply. And then finally they pay and be like, when can you come out and do my yard again? I'll be like, man, I've been calling you for, anyway, it's just, don't get me worked up on here. I about got myself worked up. But those kind of people I want to get away from, and again, moving to a quality of life, healthy business, is something I enjoy. Also, I had a video recently that was pretty popular. I'm going to put pop it up on your screen now. It was a stereotypes video. So if you've been in the lawn business, and it's a humorous video that's meant for your entertainment to kind of nail some of the stereotypes we see for those that are in the lawn care business. Go check that out. Appreciate you watching. I'm Jason Creel. If you hadn't done so, would encourage you to subscribe to the channel. There's over 800 lawn care videos, so there's a lot of information on here. Also, if you want to get into the lawn business, whether weed control and fertilization or mowing or whatever, I've got a lot of resources, even mosquito spray and all that stuff at lawncarelife.com, so you might want to check those out. Courses, video courses, documents, programs, plans, letters, all kind of stuff. Talk to you guys later. Bye.